Bet horse racing on DRF Bets. We'll match your first deposit of $200. Get free expert picks and past performances, plus weekly cash back. All from Daily Racing Form, the most trusted name in horse racing.
Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, getting ready to kick off the Breeders' Cup portion of the Saturday card at Keeneland. Race number 3 is the filly and mare sprint. We're going 7/8 of a mile for $1 million. Let's take a look at this field. It is a full field. The horse that would have been the favorite in this race, Mare, decides to run against the boys. Pretty good betting race, Mike. Goodnight Olive has been on quite a roll, though, recently for trainer Chad Brown. She's won 5 in a row, and she won the Grade 1 Ballerina in her first start against stakes competition.
Yeah, it just keeps getting better with every start, Dan. And I guess she inherits favoritism now with Mare deciding to face the boys. I think perhaps a deserving favorite. She just keeps showing up, running good races, and the last one was the best one yet.
You got to think there's speed in a full field of these filly and mare sprinters. Timeform US believes there is. Red bar situation, which signifies a fast pace. Hot Peppers is plenty quick. I would expect her to be out there. Slammed really has no choice but to go from the inside post position. Edgeway to me is more of a tactical sort. I think Lady Rockette has got to hustle from that outside post.
Yeah, I thought Lady Rockette would go. Certainly Hot Peppers, I guess they're just going to come out of there running. She feels like a horse who's going to be a relatively big price in this race, but I'm sure they'll take their chances towards the front. Slammed is a fast horse. This pace is supposed to be fast.
We'll kick things off with Slammed, a New Mexico bred. She's won 9 of 12, and she has winning experience at Keeneland. We're going to watch her most recent start. The Thoroughbred Club of America going 3/4 of a mile. And in this race, she just went right to the front as the favorite. She kept on going. She earned a career best 99 Beyer speed figure. That's just off the 100 Beyer par for the Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprint. 7/8 of a mile, I don't think it's a problem for her, but she is going to have to deal with a fast pace.
Yeah, that would be the main concern. I don't think the 7 is necessarily a problem either, but she's going to have to go a lot faster. Obviously, wins that race we just watched very easily, Dan, but it was also a really soft trip on a super slow pace. And it's going to be a totally different situation. Now, I like her as a horse. I like every one of her races, and I don't think she's in over her head here, but she's going to need to work something out.
Edgeway is the number 2. She was the runner-up in this race last year, and she's been managed very well in 2022 for John Sadler. She's won 3 of 4 starts this year, including this performance in the Rancho Bernardo handicap over the summer at Del Mar. Slammed is down on the inside. She's on the lead. Here's Edgeway on the outside, and they really throw it down until very late in the game, and Edgeway finally gets away in the last 50 yards or so.
Yeah, just a game performance from both of these fillies, but it's Edgeway who winds up coming out on top. It's not a particularly fast race, but I thought it was a really good performance from Edgeway, who overall, Dan, I just feel like she's one of those mares who doesn't get the respect she deserves. She's a really good horse. There are no flashy figures on her card, and she still lacks that major win on her card, but she's a good horse, and she is not over her head here.
Trainer Wesley Ward sends Mare, the filly, against the boys in the sprint. He'll be represented by Chi-Town Lady in the filly and mare sprint. And if you believe this pace will fall apart, Chi-Town Lady is a closer coming in off a big win. Let's watch her most recent performance. This is the Grade 1 test for 3-year-old fillies. You see it's being contested over a wet track. She comes widest and fastest.
Yeah, comes charging down the outside. Got pretty far detached from this field early. But managed to pick up a pretty nice run here. She's going to come running by these 2 horses on the lead. That's Hot Peppers in the pink cap, who's dueling with the big favorite Mare and will prevail for second. But it's Chi-Town Lady who just comes flying late. I like her running style for this race, Dan, and I do think she's better than she looks on paper. But I think she has to take another step forward as well.
She does. She'll be facing older horses for the first time. She'll have to do it on fast going off a little bit of a layoff. Cece is the defending champion in this race, and she got back to her best form in her most recent start. Michael McCarthy found a really good prep for the Breeders' Cup in the Chillingworth at Santa Anita. She was odds on in this race. She settled just off the leaders. She gets to the outside, and I don't think she went to the bottom of the well to win this with a 95 Beyer. She's certainly and obviously classy enough to win this race, and she has the right running style. She's not a one-run closer. She can sort of settle in mid-pack off that hot pace.
All those things are true, Dan, and her connections are just following the same pattern that they followed that led up to this win last year. Rooney, Ballerina, Chillingworth, they come here. She got the job done last year in a race where you know, I don't want to take too much away from her, Dan, but it did sort of feel like that was more about the favorite not showing up, and this horse maybe taking advantage a little bit, but she's been a good horse for a long time.
Bill Mott has a couple of nice entrants in here, beginning with the 5, Frank's Rockette. Now, Frank's Rockette's got a little smooth-like straight to her on paper, doesn't she? She's got plenty of fast races. It just seems like more often than not, she finds one better. Well, Mott found a great spot last time, the Pink Ribbon, a 2-turn stakes race at Charlestown. She was odds on. She settled just off the early leader, a nice Mid-Atlantic-based horse named Fille d'Esprit, and she was just too good in the lane. If you just go by figures, Frank's Rockette's one of the horses to beat. She has found 1 or 2 better in a lot of her races, however. And I think there's a question mark going 7 in a fast-paced race. I think this pace may be a little bit faster than what she's used to.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that could really work against her here. I liked that they gave her the confidence booster last time. And I also really respect that she comes in what might be the best form of her career again. She's actually been really good this year, even though she's only 1 for 4. She does have that little tendency, though, as you've already pointed out, to sort of find one better. It feels like she might just be like a small cut below the real top filly mare sprinters, but she's very good in her own right.
Japanese horses excelled in the 2021 Breeders' Cup at Del Mar. Chain of Love will take her opportunity in the filly and mare sprint. She began her career on turf, and she really had middling success on the surface. She's improved by leaps and bounds on dirt. She won a little stakes race last time out over a muddy track. 7/8 is good for her. A fast pace is good for her. This is by far the toughest test she'll ever face.
Yeah, just a real wild card in here and what feels like a pretty big price. I mean, if nothing else, just going back to that most recent start there in September, if she can, you know, pull that kind of a trip in here, a fast pace where she came from way out of it with a big run there to just get up at the end. I mean, I guess they'll try similar tactics here, Dan, and see if it's good enough.
Mare has obligatory, the number 7. This is a Juddmonte homebred that's very comfortable at 7 furlongs, especially in fast-paced races. She won the Derby City Distaff on Kentucky Derby weekend at Churchill. Similar situation as to what she might get at Keeneland. She fell behind a fast pace. She charged by them in the stretch. Last time out in the Ballerina, Mike, she was kind of wide. She was around 4 wide on the back stretch, and I just don't think the setup was there for her. She ran on okay for 3rd.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, Dan. Didn't get a great trip in there, and also just wasn't really a strongly run race early in there, and that's really what obligatory needs to be at her best. She was good at 3. I think she's even better at 4. Probably should have won each of her first 3 starts this year. That was a pretty tough beat in the Bed of Roses in a very slow pace. She still almost ran it down. She's going to get a better setup here. She just needs a trip. It's a big field. She's going to have to navigate a lot of traffic.
Here's the now horse in the field, the 8 Goodnight Olive. She beat obligatory in the Ballerina. We're going to watch that race right now. Her tactical speed is a big advantage because she's able to sit just off the leaders here in the Ballerina. She makes her move at the 3/16 pole. She takes over the lead without any fuss, and she goes on her way. 102 by her speed figure, lightly raced enough that it's possible we haven't seen her best. Great attack outside post position with her tactical speed, and she loves 7.
Yeah, all those things are true. It's just hard to find the real flaw in her so far. Yeah, she keeps getting better with every race, and that Ballerina was the best one so far. I thought she had a pretty easy trip in there, but she's the kind of filly who makes her own trip. She's got really good tactical speed, doesn't need the lead to be effective, still finishes her races off. A lot to like you.
Big Price is up next. That's the 9, Sterling Silver. Now, she's a New York bred. All 3 of her lifetime victories have come against state-bred competition. She's been beaten by several of these horses in the past. She finished 3rd in the Gallant Bloom last time out, but was a well-beaten 3rd.
Just in 3rd in that race. Ran pretty well 2 starts back at a Big Price when just missing in the prioress, but that, you know, wasn't the strongest prioress we've ever seen. It just looks like she's in very, very tough here, Dan. She doesn't have that race you can point to.
Speaking of hot peppers, she was the favorite in the prioress. As usual, she showed her good early speed. She got hooked up a little bit in that race, and she tired behind Wicked Halo and Sterling Silver. We saw her run in the test when Chi-Town Lady ran her down. Again, she was occupied on the lead. She was very game in the test. Maybe the prioress, she kind of regressed off that race. She's coming into this race off a little freshening.
Yeah, they gave her a little bit of time. We'll see if it makes a difference. It's going to need to make a pretty big difference, Dan. She's a horse who wants to be on the lead. She has quality speed to her inside in this race, and she's going to need a lifetime best.
Steve Asmussen has the 11 Wicked Halo, I believe, in sneaky good form. This is a filly that has very quietly won 4 races in a row, including this performance, the Grade 2 Raven Run against fellow 3-year-old fillies, going this distance over this track. We see her on the outside, and once she makes the lead, it is over.
A very easy win here, and just a slight improvement, Dan. I just feel like she keeps getting better with every start. I like the form that she's in. I like her running style for this race, too. Is she going to have to take another step forward to win here? Almost certainly, but there are things to like about this horse.
She wins this race very easily, and she has an affinity for Keeneland. Lady Rockette, interesting to note that her 2 best buyer speed figures, both triple digits, both came at Aqueduct, including this race, the Gallant Bloom last time out, going 6.5 furlongs, where she set the pace. She tried to sneak away from Kamari on the turn. She runs just fine to be second to Kamari. If you just go by the figure, if she runs back to this last race, she's going to be tough. She does like 7/8 of a mile.
She does. This is a super slow pace she was on here, though. Still can't fight off Kamari, who's just a better horse than she is. Has to settle for second. Listen, I don't want to knock her too hard. It feels like she could be a fair price in this race. I think she's a bit of a phony.
And I think it's fair to say that maybe the most talented horse naturally in this race is the number 13 Echo Zulu, who was a brilliant winner of last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. And after a 4th place effort in the Kentucky Oaks at a distance that was just simply too far for her, she had her share of little minor physical issues that kept her away from the races. Asmussen got 1 prep into her, and it was a good prep. The Dogwood at Churchill Downs, she won that race easily. And I still think the best is yet to come from Echo Zulu, who must break from a tough outside post. Shorter is better.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you're right. The best is probably yet to come for her. It's just a real problem that they haven't really been able to get a 3-year-old campaign out of her. She was obviously really good at 2. I thought she actually ran really well in her first 2 starts this year, probably going longer than she wants to go. But then she missed the entire summer, Dan. So she comes here off of 1 prep, and it's a prep where she just got absolutely loose on the lead against inferior competition. It's a way tougher field. The pace is faster. She's on the far outside. I don't know, man. I would need a pretty big price if I was going to bet her here. I don't think she's going to be one.
Such a wide open race. I don't want to take too short of a price, as much as I do respect Goodnight Olive. We have similar ideas, different horses. We like Bill Mott. Obligatory is just needs a little bit of a trip. The pace is going to be there. Does she come all the way around? Does she weave her way through? Either way, she's running late.
Yeah, she's going to run late in here. There's supposed to be a setup for her. She has proven more than once in the past, Dan, that if you give her a pace to run at, she will come flying through the stretch here. And she's beaten some big fields in the past, too. So I'm hoping that she can pull a trip here. I think she's going to be a fair price. I like her in here.
In buyer, I trust. Frank's Rockette's run triple-digit buyer speed figures, I believe, in her last 4 races. Just on the cold dope, she's one of the fastest and most consistently fast horses in this race. Is she going to have to really bring her A game? Absolutely. I've always liked her a little bit more than Mike, and she's bound to be a decent price. 7-8-2-11 for Mike, 5-8-12-13 for me. Wide open edition of the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. Great way to start off the Breeders' Cup portion of the Saturday card at Keeneland. Good luck.